Greetings, Soldier! I'm Eminent Zen. This video aims to help you get started with OBS and YouTube live streaming. I'll just show you the steps that I've taken in order to get my configuration working. It's by no means the correct, in inverted commas, way of doing it. It's just the way that I'm using OBS to get my streaming done. And I'm sure there are ways to improve it and tweaks that can be made, but for the most part, this should get you up and running. First things first, the most important thing, if you take nothing from this video, is you've got to indicate to YouTube your willingness, or your desire rather, to stream 24 hours, at least 24 hours before you actually intend to stream. That's just to get your account approved in time. It does take around 24 hours. I think it's automated, so you can pretty much rely on it, but I'd strongly recommend you to get that approval long before you need it, and to make sure that you can do a test stream on the right channel, because it's channel specific. So even if you have one YouTube account and you have two channels, you've got to request the live streaming ability on the channel that you intend to live stream on. Otherwise, you will not be able to stream at the time you want to unless you have that approval. Moving forward, we've got a few settings here. So I've got a video input. I've got two monitors on my computer, so I've got them set up. You'll see on the left-hand side here, I've called my one video input here a left screen. You'll see I've also got a mysterious one here. It's also got the same icon called demo. I'll just remove that now to show you how to get rid of it. But at the same time, what I'll do is I'll add my left screen back in, for example, and show you how that works. If I click the plus button this time, you'll want to match the icons. So a lot of people will get confused by application this and game that and all the rest. It's none of those things. Look for the little monitor icon and click display capture as your source. You can now call it anything you want and say okay to that. And once you've done that, you get to choose between your two displays if you have multiple monitors. So that's something that you could take into account. I think for the most part, many of you will only be using one screen, and if you're using two screens like I am, there's a good chance that the right screen will be the one that you're adding. So there shouldn't be too much to worry about there. So let me just remove that quickly before we go any further. Moving on, I've got an audio mixing panel here. You'll see it's a little bit different to the default one, and there's a special thing to mention about that, which I'll come back to in just a second. And if we now move on to our general settings for OBS itself, you'll see, I think the most important things are under the stream and output tabs, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go to the stream one. You'll see that my service is set to real-time messaging protocol, the secure version of that for YouTube. And they've got a recommended option of connecting your account. I don't know if I did that. I don't think I did. What I have done, I'm pretty sure I have from memory, is I've entered a stream key. So if you click that there, my stream key is hidden, but you'll just paste yours there. It should be a long string of random letters and numbers, for example, and that will be what your stream key looks like. I'll show you where to get that. If you go to YouTube itself, and now I can't find the YouTube window. Where is that? Okay, that's not YouTube, but it's close enough. You'll see that under your YouTube Studio, when you're in the right channel, you'll be able to click on this Go Live button. It's a bit of a misnomer because you're actually not really going live with this button, but this is almost like a prep button to let you go live before you go live in a way. But if I click that, you'll see that the stream key would be here. So you can unhard that with this little eyeball, or you can just copy it directly and paste that into OBS, and that should connect your OBS to be able to authenticate and to be able to inject its video content into YouTube in real time. So that's the way that works. Coming back to OBS now, we're jumping the gun here with this GitHub link behind us, but you'll see that under the output settings, just to finish up on the video settings before I get to the audio, these are my video settings. It's by no means, again, the correct way of doing it. It's just what I found works best for me in terms of quality. So the higher this number is, the more quality you're pushing to YouTube, but the more likely it is that you might drop frames, or YouTube might not be able to get your information quick enough. So it really will depend on the quality of your internet connection. Picking 8,000 kilobits per second, that seems to work well for me, and my audio is at 160. I think those are the only two changes I've made there. In terms of audio, I don't think I've done much here. That 1-2 quad capture, that will definitely look different on your computer because this is very specific to mine. But for the most part, that's what you need in terms of settings. The last thing to cover, I think, before discussing how to go live on YouTube is how I've mixed my audio here. So I've installed a special tool, which you can see in the background here. It's available on GitHub at this link above there. And when you get here, this is very scary to a person who isn't a developer, I fully understand, but if you just follow along carefully, you should be okay. What we do is we click releases. wait for that to load, and then it's a bit of a confusing thing, but this is actually a clickable title. You click that. Ideally, what you want to do, it might not be 2.2.2 by the time that this happens. You might be watching this video a little bit later, but I think since I've installed this back in February, it hasn't changed, obviously. So that's good enough for what we need it for. We'll click on that, and the screen changes one more time. And below here, you've got assets, and there's a bunch of different assets. The one we're interested in is the one that ends in .exe. You can get the zip. When you click to download the exe or web browser, I'm using Firefox here, but I think Chrome in particular will warn you that it's an exe file and tell you that there is a potential danger. There is actually a potential danger about that, and what we really have to do is go on the assumption that the person who made this tool is a good-natured person and isn't trying to hack or infect us with any viruses. But I think this is a well-used library, and for the most part, it's got 2,500 stars. Not everyone that uses it stars it, so at least 2,500 people actually like it, so there's a bit of confidence there at least, but your mileage will vary, and you take that risk yourself. So once you've downloaded the exe file, you'll install it. It will install into OBS itself. After you have installed into OBS, what you will have then is a new option here that you can add with, and you'll see it will have a little speaker icon. So let me click that now. It's this topmost one. So what you actually want is audio, or rather application audio output capture. It's a bit of a mouthful, but we click that, and that will get us to where we want to go. So instead of going through it from scratch, let me just show you my Battlefield 4 settings. All I'm doing is capturing a specific window. I've pointed to the Battlefield 4 executable file that's in my Battlefield 4 installation folder. Yeah, I can't remember where that is, but it's probably in program files or something. You'll be able to find it, I'm sure. And then after that, basically what's happening there is this audio mix would have just been my desktop audio, but you see the red icons I have here, which I've effectively disabled, are stopping those audio sources from being mixed automatically into the video feed, which I'm now producing. So it's not a case of muting it for your ears, it's a case of muting it for the video's ears. So if you've got these disabled, these things will not make it through to your stream. So I'm using TeamSpeak. I'm also using a direct microphone input. I've got my general desktop audio as a potential available source, and more specifically, I've got Battlefield 4, the executable file, the actual game itself. So in terms of my overall mix, sometimes I might like to include a bit of TeamSpeak audio. I definitely want my mic audio. I don't want my desktop audio, because that's effectively a group which includes these other three, and it will always include everything your computer speakers play will be captured by desktop audio. So if you want to change levels and things of that nature, you definitely want to either remove this or have this muted, and then the Battlefield 4 capture would be there. So what I have on my second screen is Battlefield 4 running in the menu, just on the second screen, and you'll see that there's no sound bars moving right now. That's because I don't have focus on the Battlefield 4 game that's running in my second screen. But as soon as I move my mouse off to my second screen and click on Battlefield 4, you'll see that the levels on Battlefield 4 start rising up, and hopefully you should be able to hear some Battlefield 4 menu music there. So you'll see now we're running Battlefield 4 menu music. Just trust that the Battlefield 4 menu thing is open on my second screen, and then as soon as I click off that again back into OBS, you'll see that it effectively mutes that audio. So that's only going to stream into your actual live stream once you actually have focus on that menu. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Some other important things as well is this can be confusing. A lot of people want to do different things with their video. I've chosen to capture my screen as a whole, because my screen is always one resolution. If you wanted to do really fancy things and try to capture one game and whatever, the game itself might be in a smaller window, and you might start a recording with the game in the smaller window. And I don't know for certain, but I strongly suspect that if you had to start a video recording and then resize that window, it may indeed cause issues for your capture. So rather just capture it as wide as you will ever need it to be, and don't worry about capturing anything smaller than it will be. Of course, you want to make sure your levels are adequate, make sure everything's working correctly, and that should be enough to get you configured in order to be able to stream. The last step we'll need to do now is just to go back into YouTube. Now that I have indicated that I want to go live, it's effectively pending. It's waiting here. It's telling me that it's about to start streaming. So if I go back to OBS, and then I'm currently running a recording, so this button won't be depressed for you. What you'll do is you'll click Start Streaming, and as soon as you do that, the handover between that stream key and this thing that's waiting for your stream to start talking to it, that will happen. And this is effectively like the final go live button. It happens on OBS, not on YouTube. It's a bit weird, but that's the way it works. So click on start streaming, and I won't do it now because I don't want to mess my followers around with a bunch of test streams. But dollars to donuts, that should start working. There is a bit of a delay within about 5 seconds, and you can make the delay longer. But within about 5 seconds, you should both hear your audio and see your video, and just make sure that you've got the right declaration for whether the video is being produced for children, if there's an age restriction on it, the video is public or private, or things of that nature. But for the most part, just using sensible settings like that should be able to get you streaming with no problem. Anyway, that's it from me, wrapping up. Good luck, Solskjaer.